Act Your Age, a new show on Diginet Bounce, debuted on March 4th as the most watched series launch in that network's history. The half-hour comedy features Kim Whitley, Tisha Campbell, and Yvette Nicole Brown as a trio of successful Washington, D.C. area women in their 50s who are each at a personal crossroads. Alyson Fouse is the creator, showrunner, and producer of the 16-episode series, which runs Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Bounce. I'm Michael Depp, editor of TV News Check, and today Alyson Fouse joins me to discuss why Act Your Age has had such a strong early start and the viability of diginets like Bounce for original series. We'll be right back with that conversation. This episode of Talking TV is brought to you by Futori, which provides today's broadcasters with tomorrow's technology. That includes podcasting system Post, which can extend your newscast's reach by automatically turning it into a podcast in a way that requires little to no work from your team. Learn more about Post at futorimedia.com/post4tv. Welcome, Alyson Fouse, to Talking TV.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on your show.
Thank you again. I'm really excited about it.
Well, Alyson, you've previously worked on Big Shot, which is, I believe, on Disney Plus, Everybody Hates Chris, and the Wanda Sykes Show. But this is your first experience, as I understand it, as a showrunner. Is that right?
Well, I had some experience as a showrunner, but it wasn't a show I created.
Okay.
It was for Born Again Virgin, which was created by my co-EP now, Renata Shepard. I like to call her my work wife.
Got it.
We've been through the trenches together.
So how did Act Your Age originate?
Well, it's been living with me for a while, but I'll say the time came when Brad Gardner from MGM, I had a meeting with him and told me that Bounce and Scripts had an idea for a show and they'd like to talk to me about it. And then we had a call with David Hudson and JJ, I'm blanking on his last name right now, but from Bounce and Scripts, and they told me that they wanted a show with women who were my age, in their 50s, well off in this certain area. And that's basically all they gave me. And I just took that and ran. You know, something I could really relate to, especially as far as being a woman of a certain age.
Mm-hmm. So I read that the Atlanta Journal-Constitution called the show Golden Girls for Black Women. Is that what you had in mind?
You know, I love classic sitcoms, and Golden Girls is one of my favorites. And the idea that I hadn't seen Black women like this, of this age, I mean, of course, you take from the greats, you steal from the greats, as far as their chemistry and the rhythm and everything. And it's just classic funny. If they're comparing it to Golden Girls, I think that's a really good compliment.
I'll take it. Yeah. A lot of new shows now are very edgy and conceptual, including comedies. This show is very traditional. It sort of harkens back. When I was watching, I definitely had a feel of sitcoms from the 70s or even the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
What about those kinds of conventions appealed to you when you were putting the show together?
Well, I think I like the time when, again, I'm older. So, you know, the idea of people sitting in front of the TV with their family, watching shows and laughing. And even the next generation who watch these kind of shows as reruns later, you know, it's that good feeling of these are people I can return to every week and just feel good about it. You know, when I was a kid, it was Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. And then as I got older, it was all of Norman Lear's stuff. And I like the idea of revisiting anything that feels like a family, whether you're with one or not. I think people love to laugh. They love a happy ending. They love to feel good. And that's not to say that we won't cover certain issues and we keep the show current. But the main feeling we want is that people have a good time, just a little joy in your life for 22 minutes.
I was going to ask you about your influences. So you just said Norman Lear and Happy Days. Anything else kind of formative for you in the sitcom world going into this?
Well, when my first sitcom was My Wife and Kids, and Don Rio was the showrunner. And it was funny, before I was even in the business, I loved everything he did, action and the John Larroquette show. So I was sort of a fan also of those sort of darker comedies too. But just, I love anybody who has good rhythm and storytelling. You know, I enjoy Abbott Elementary now. I enjoyed Modern Family when it was on. You know, they had a great way of keeping everyone active. And I just love good story and characters.
So as I mentioned, this was a strong performing show right out of the box for Bounce. What do you think has been the draw for viewers so far? Is there something just sort of comfortable about the sitcom that draws them in?
Yeah, because there aren't big surprises in sitcoms. It really comes down to, again, the stories and the characters. But I think we presented a show that not only looks good, our cast is phenomenal and familiar, and they're women you loved and love to see now, you know, returning to them. Tisha Campbell. I mean, she's done so much work, and her fan base is huge, as well as Kim Whitley and Yvette Nicole Brown, who Yvette's fan base is very broad. So the fact that we could put them all together, and I think a lot of the feedback has been, you know, I love seeing these women again, and I love seeing them together, you know, and the family aspect of it, the
Did the,
friendship.
did the casting come together very quickly?
No, we were writing the show before we knew who would star in it. But then when they asked me who I wanted, I was like, there's a list in my head of women I've always wanted to work with. You know, to me, Yvette was always Angela. I had to have her as Angela. And I knew that Tisha would bring so much more to Keisha than how she was reading on page or how people perceived her on the page, what I wanted her to be. And then with Kim, we had another actor who fell out that the network was really excited about, but unfortunately we couldn't make it work. And so I was like, Kim is the perfect piece for that. And I love that they all came together, and the fact that they're real friends.
Yeah, you have to have that off-screen chemistry, I suppose, as well, to have it on screen. As I mentioned at the top, this is airing Saturday nights on Bounce. Is it available on streaming as well?
Bounce does have a brown sugar app
Mhm.
that you can watch the reruns the next day, and you can watch all the episodes, as a matter of fact. That's as far as I know. I'm encouraging people to record it, you know, wherever you get. And I guess it would also depend on what your cable service is, or Dish Network, or whatever all that stuff is. But also it's free on the airwaves with an HD antenna.
Right. So is
So
that how most of the viewers are finding you? They're just sort of serendipity. They're flipping around and there it is. Let me leave this on.
yeah, well, you know, it's funny because a lot of people had Bounce but didn't know it. You know,
Mhm.
it just wasn't, or they were watching it and weren't aware that it was Bounce, because they show a lot of classic movies and things like that. So
Mhm. Right.
it's, yeah, I tell people, go ask your grandmother or mother. They're probably already watching it.
Right. Well, the thing is that most people don't even know what a diginet is. I mean, that's sort of an industry term, but it's not, consumers are just flipping around. What's this? And so, but when we think about diginets, often it's sort of reruns of classic shows, thematically kind of organized by different genres. So, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was because your show's an original. And of course, there are originals on other diginets too, but it's not been, loaded with with originals rather. So I wonder, with so many people having to cut the cord to cable, doing that, and streaming getting also very expensive to pay for in a la carte kind of way, the more services you have, do you think that gives an advantage to a location, to a network like Bounce, and to a show like yours, that there might be more discoverability of it now than even just a year or two ago?
Oh, absolutely. Because I think we're at a point where if you make a good show, people will find it. And the bonus of this is that it's free, works in our favor. And I love the idea of people not only discovering us, but discovering the whole Bounce network as just another alternative for something to watch. Because, and not to poo-poo the streamers and everything, but those costs start to add up, if you're paying for different networks. And the free for Bounce, it being free, is really a bonus for us. I'm excited about it. It didn't, like I said, once we got a good show and a good cast, I didn't care where they showed it. Bounce is great and they've been fantastic with us. But it was just, I like the idea of people discovering our show, and that means they made an effort to go watch it. So I think this is great.
So what's your hope for the show, Alyson? What are your ambitions ultimately for it?
To open this world up even more, to get to know these women, and that at their age, life isn't over. When you're 20 and you think about somebody in their 50s, you think ancient. And honestly, we're still learning. Life is still going. So I want to open up these characters, show people, get them familiar with this kind of space. Again, like I said, we don't have a cast on TV that I'm aware of that looks like this, that's enjoying life and it's comedic. And we have our two younger characters with Mariah Robinson and Nathan Anderson, who, Bernadette and Angela's child. And as their world opens up, it gives us a whole new universe to play with, and I just love the fact, look, these people join me in the shower every day because that's where I get all my thoughts. As soon as the water hits me, I get all these ideas. I could do this forever. I could easily see this show going 7 seasons, but I can also see the spinoff of it. Again, I'm from that Norman Lear generation where we watched. Yeah, you set up a whole universe of families and different backgrounds and everything. And I'm excited about it.
Okay, well, these people are with me every day in the shower, I think has risen to the headline of this. We'll have to put that to tease this out to the world. Well, thank you so much, Alyson Fouse, for joining me today to discuss your new show, Act Your Age. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Michael.
And you can watch past episodes of Talking TV on tvnewscheck.com and on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching and listening to this one, and see you next time. A new episode of Talking TV is available most Fridays on tvnewscheck.com. You can also listen and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify.